right, gang, we're back for part 3 of our soloing with triads. Let's do it. All right, so basically just kind of working out some triad shapes. We've done a couple of these in previous videos where we've done the same triads with a couple of different fingerings, and this will be the third of that series. And basically what we're doing is we're playing diatonic triads. That's triads in the key, in this case the key of D, and we are playing them in fourth intervals away from each other just to break them up so they're not so diatonic-y sounding, and we can just kind of inject them into our licks, so to speak. Now, of course, anytime that I'm doing a little demo or anything, I am kind of overdoing it. It's not always the way I play. I'm just trying to demonstrate what it could potentially sound like if you use some of these triads. Also, remember, if you dig it, like it, share it, follow along, subscribe, all that good stuff, and also consider checking out my Patreon page. There is a link in the description, and there's all kinds of great stuff going on there. I'm constantly adding new things all the time, and this is also where you can get any tabs or diagrams or backing tracks for some of these lessons. So check it out, and I appreciate your support. All right, so like I said, we're in part 3 of a 3-part series here, and we're looking at triads in the key of D in fourth intervals away from each other. And we first started with an A major triad, which looks something like this. All right, and then the next shape of that A major triad we played like this. Okay, now we can also play another shape of it, which would be like this. All right, and then like I said, we're going to move in fourth intervals, so we're going to go from A. A fourth away would be D major. Remember, we're in the key of D, so we're going to stay diatonically correct to that key. So we got A major, which is the exact same fingering, great. And then a fourth away from D is G. That's the same fingering too. All right, and then a fourth away from G would be C sharp in this case. Remember, we're staying in the key of D, so that would be C sharp diminished. And then a fourth away from that would be F sharp, and in the key of D that would be minor. So I'm just starting from the same place I started in the previous videos, which is on the A chord. But now you can see we've got a couple different fingerings for the same sound, right? The first one was something like this. Okay, we had one note on each string. Then our second pattern for this would be one note on the low E string and 2 notes on the A string. And then this one has 2 notes on the lower string and then 1 note on the next string. Of course, we want to bring those up diatonically, so I'm going to jump over to the diagram so we can get a better bird's eye view of what we're looking at here. Okay, great. So like I mentioned before, if I go over to this diagram here, here's the previous lessons I did. I just have them all on one kind of big diagram here so I can scroll through them. And if you notice, here's the previous one. Here's our A major. We've got 1 note on the low E string and then 2 notes on the A string. So on this one, we're going to start here on this A note here, and we're going to play the major third here and then the 5th here. Okay, and like I said, we're going to move in fourth, so I'm going to just alternate the colors so they don't kind of overlap each other. Here's a D major, all right, and then we have a G major here, and you know, that's a bonus. Those are all the same fingerings there. Now things change just a little bit. We're going to do a C sharp diminished, which would look like that, and then we would have an F sharp minor. All right, so that's using this particular shape. You know, the way I look at it is all these shapes can be just mixed and matched, just giving you multiple options. My fingers favor some shapes over others, depending on what position I'm in, or maybe just how much time I've spent on them. So there is no right or wrong here or anything like that. It's just something to experiment with, and if you lean towards a certain shape, then great, use that shape more. It's all good. All right, so if we were to just move these up diatonically, we're going to go from A major. The next one would be B minor. And of course, we have 2 notes on the low string and then 1 on the upper string here, which gives us that familiar shape. All right, if we go a fourth away, and we're staying also in the key of D, right? So that would give us an E minor. There's E, and in the key of D, E minor is the 2 chord. And then a fourth away from that would be D major, or excuse me, A major. All right, and again, we're just moving in fourths here. And then a fourth away from that would be D major. Would look something like that. And then a fourth away from that would be G major, which looks something like this. So these are a little bit more maybe stretchy. However you want to look at it, like I said, to me it's just another way to play that sound. So if it's convenient when I'm in the heat of the moment, I'll go for that. If it's not, I won't. It's just one of those things. And arguably some of these shapes I have under my fingers a little bit better than other shapes too. So, okay, let's continue on. We're going to move up to the next chord. Again, we're in the key of D, so that would put us, we were on B minor, so this one would be a C sharp diminished, okay? And again, we're moving in fourths, so a fourth away from that, that would be an F sharp note, and there is an F sharp minor triad in the key of D. And then we're going to move a fourth away from that, which would be B, okay? And we would have a B minor triad. So far we have. Okay, pretty good. And then a fourth away from that would actually be E, and that would be an E minor. E minor triad here. And then a fourth away from that would be an A major triad here. So we have something like this. And of course, like I said, you can blend them with some of the other shapes. You don't have to play all of them. You can just, you know, find fingerings you like and then strategically put them in there where you can, all right? All right, let's keep moving. And so now the next one, we actually start from D, now in the key of D. Obviously, that's the 1 chord. And we're gonna move a fourth away from that. That would give us a G, that's a G major. A fourth away from that is gonna be a C sharp diminished again. All right, and then a fourth away from that is going to be an F sharp minor, and then a fourth away from that would be B minor here. So we have something like this. All in that same position. All right, and we continue on, and hopefully everybody's getting the program by now. And the next one would be E minor. That's our 2 chord. All right, we're gonna go a fourth away from that would be an A major, okay? And then a fourth away from that would be D major, which would look something like that. Oh, wait a minute, would it? No, it would look like that, sorry. And then a fourth away from that would be G major. There we go, that's where I'm looking for that one. And then a fourth away from that would be C sharp diminished. Now, hopefully maybe you're starting to see a pattern here, like for example, you know, when you go from G major, the next one's C sharp diminished. When you go from E minor, the next one's A major. They keep kind of reoccurring over and over again, so it's not like you're reinventing it every time you do it. Okay, we're going to continue on here, and we're going to do F sharp minor. That's our 3 chord. All right, and then a fourth away from that would be B minor. All right, and then a fourth away from that would be E minor. This is a very convenient fingering here because these 3 minor shapes. All right, remember, a fourth away from E is A, and that's going to be A major, okay? And then a fourth away from that would be D, and that's going to be D major, which would look something like that, okay? So like I said, just different ways of playing these same fingerings. Okay, so the last one here, I'm going to probably have to move the frets down just a little bit. So let's do something like this. And just pay attention to the fret markers here so we don't get lost. But now we're going to start on G, and our G is going to be right here. That's going to be a G major. And what do you think is going to come after the G? That's right, a C sharp diminished. All right, And then after that, we're going to have an F sharp minor. F sharp minor right there. Then we're going to have a B minor. Here's a B minor. And then after that, we're going to have E minor here. So for me personally, I tend to like to blend these together with some of the other shapes. I don't try to think about it too much. Maybe you're just doing exercises at first to get some of these shapes under your fingers, but to me, they're all legal. It doesn't matter. And of course, I'm not going to always just be soloing with triads all the time. Like I said, when I'm demonstrating this stuff, maybe at the beginning or the end of the videos, I'm actually overdoing it a little bit. You know, I want to add some pentatonics, and I want to add some scales, and so chromaticism and stuff in there too. It's all kind of a big stew I'm throwing together. But sometimes you got to partition things off and study them separately, you know, for a while. So you might want to just study, you know, the first video, those shapes for a while, and build up a repertoire with those, and then look at the second video, and then this video, the third one here, and see all the different ways that you can play these triads. And it becomes very liberating, because you'll notice that no matter what note you're on the scale, you have that option to jump off into some triad, right? And to me, triads are cool structures. Now, here's the interesting thing, just a side note, we're only playing these from the roots. Remember, you can play triad as inversions too, so you can play them from the thirds, you can play them from the fifths. So you can see this is a pretty deep well that you can go down to be able to implement some of these triads into your playing. All right, so that's pretty much it for part 3. See, if you've watched part 1 and part 2, then you know what's going on here. We're just doing diatonic triads. We're doing them in fourth intervals as opposed to doing them kind of in diatonic order. That can be a little exercisey sounding. This is just a really nice way to be able to see them. They're kind of distanced away from each other a little bit, and they're also very easy to inject into your pentatonic scale or your modes or whatever it is that you're playing, and it kind of breaks things up and hopefully gives you a little bit more of a three-dimensional sound. Like I said, if you dig it, like and share and all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time around.